Welcome to this session of the Deep Dive. Think of us as your guides today as we navigate a really crucial area for anyone aiming to secure information effectively.
That's right.
We're going to break down the essential steps in establishing, monitoring, maintaining, and continually improving an information security management system, or ISMS.
Yep, the ISMS.
Consider this your practical introduction to how organizations, truly get a grip on their information security.
Exactly. And our core text for this is ISO IEC 27000. It's the foundational standard, really sets the stage, gives us the vocabulary for the whole ISMS family.
Right.
So our goal today is to clearly explain clauses 4.5 through 4.7. We want to go beyond just definitions, really show the practical actions and the tangible benefits.
Yeah, what you actually do.
Precisely. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this should give you a solid handle on managing InfoSec.
All right, let's jump straight into Clause 4.5 then, establishing, monitoring, maintaining, and improving an ISMS. Now, that sounds like a pretty big undertaking.
It can seem that way, but the standard breaks it down quite logically. Think of Section 4.5.1 as a roadmap.
Okay.
It emphasizes that a strong ISMS isn't like a one-time setup, it's an ongoing journey.
A cycle, right?
Exactly, a continuous cycle. First, understand what you need to secure. Second, figure out the threats and how to tackle them. Third, put the necessary safeguards in place. And finally, constantly check and refine how well those safeguards are working.
So you keep going around that loop.
You got it. It's all about repeating these steps to stay ahead of, evolving risks and changes within your own organization. The key thing here is that information security is a living process. It's not static.
Okay, so the first part of that cycle, 4.5.2, focuses on identifying information security requirements. What exactly are we trying to pin down here?
Right. This is where you define what needs protecting and, maybe more importantly, why it matters. The standard points to three crucial areas.
3 areas, okay.
First, you need a clear inventory of your information assets. What data do you actually hold, and what's its value to the business?
So not just a list of files.
No, it's about understanding the business impact if that information were lost, stolen, or messed up, like knowing the value of the crown jewels, so to speak.
That makes perfect sense. Knowing the real worth helps you focus your efforts where they count. What are the other key areas?
Second, you need to understand the business needs around that information. How is data used day to day? How is it processed? Where is it stored? How is it communicated? Different activities mean different security needs.
Right, like securing customer payments versus internal memos. Very different.
Totally different. And finally, and this one's non-negotiable, you have to account for all legal, regulatory, and contractual obligations. Think data privacy laws, industry rules, promises to clients. These dictate mandatory security measures.
So compliance is baked right in from the start.
Absolutely. The takeaway is that your security requirements come from the value of your info, how your business uses it, and what the outside world requires you to do.
So it's not just what we think is valuable, but also what rules we have to follow. And this feeds into the risk assessment part, doesn't it? Analyzing threats and weaknesses.
Exactly. Understanding these requirements lays the groundwork for a proper, structured risk assessment. You systematically look at potential threats, who or what might try to harm your info, and the vulnerabilities, the weaknesses in your systems and processes they could exploit.
Okay.
Then you look at how likely those things are to happen and what the potential damage, the impact could be.
Right.
And the standard makes a really practical point here. Your investment in controls, in security measures, should be proportional to the potential business impact of a risk.
Makes sense. Don't spend a fortune protecting something minor.
Precisely. You wouldn't and shouldn't.
Okay, so we've identified what needs protecting and why. Next in our cycle, 4.5.3, is assessing those information security risks. How is this different from just identifying the requirements?
Good question. Identifying requirements tells you what needs protection. Assessing risks delves into the threats to that protection. It's a deeper dive into the bad things that could happen.
Got it. More focused on the potential problems.
Exactly. The standard emphasizes having a clear, documented risk assessment and risk treatment method, a kind of playbook.
The playbook, I like.
Yeah, and this method shouldn't just be technical. It needs to consider the costs of fixing things, the benefits you get, legal stuff, and even what your stakeholders, customers, employees, partners are concerned about.
So it's a broad view.
Mm.
And the standard mentions 2 key parts of this assessment.
Yes. First, there's risk analysis. That's about estimating the size of the risks. How bad could it be? How likely is it?
Put some numbers on it, maybe?
Sometimes, yeah, or at least categories like high, medium, low. Then second, there's risk evaluation. Here, you take those estimates and compare them against your own defined risk criteria, basically. What level of risk is acceptable to us?
Okay, so you decide your tolerance level.
Exactly. This helps you prioritize. Which risks need tackling now? You might say anything high needs immediate attention.
That makes sense. You can't treat everything with the same urgency. And this risk assessment isn't a one-off exercise, is it?
Absolutely not. That's a critical point. The standard stresses the need for periodic risk assessment.
Things change.
Constantly. Your business changes, tech changes, the bad guys come up with new tricks, new vulnerabilities pop up. So you need to regularly revisit your assessments, relook at your assets, the threats, the weaknesses, the potential impacts.
Keep it relevant.
It has to. The standard also says define your scope clearly and see how it fits with other risk assessments the organization might do. And if you want the really detailed guide, ISO IEC 27005 is the place to look for risk management specifics.
Good.
The key insight really is that risk assessment is continuous, it adapts.
Okay, we've identified our requirements, assessed the risks. Now in 4.5.4, we're looking at treating those risks. What are the different paths we can take here?
Right, risk treatment is basically deciding what to do about the risks you found. But before you even look at the options, the standard says you need to define criteria for risk acceptance.
Acceptance criteria, so deciding what you're willing to live with.
Exactly. What level of risk is okay? Maybe your risk is tiny, or maybe fixing it costs way more than the potential damage. These decisions, accepting a risk, need to be documented. You need a record of why you chose not to act.
So we don't necessarily have to eliminate every single identified risk.
Precisely. That's often just not practical or cost-effective. So the standard outlines 4 main ways to handle risks.
4 options, okay. What are they?
The most common one is applying controls, putting in security measures to reduce either the chance of the risk happening or the impact if it does.
Reduce the risk. Makes sense.
Second, you can knowingly and objectively accept the risk if it meets your predefined acceptance criteria and fits your policies.
Okay, acceptance.
Third, you can avoid the risk. Basically, stop doing the thing that causes the risk. If a process is just too dangerous, maybe you discontinue it.
Avoidance.
Right.
And finally, you can share the risk. Think insurance or outsourcing a risky operation to a specialist supplier who can handle the security side better.
Sharing. Like insurance, okay.
Exactly. And for those risks where you decide, okay, we need to apply controls, the next logical step is picking and implementing those controls. The main point here is that treatment is a conscious choice based on your situation and risk appetite.
Which leads us neatly to 4.5.5, selecting and implementing controls. This sounds like where the rubber meets the road, turning plans into action.
That's exactly right. This is where you take those risk treatment decisions and make them real. The standard highlights several crucial factors to weigh up when you're choosing controls.
Such as?
Well, you've got to consider relevant laws and regulations, national, international, your own business objectives, your day-to-day operational needs and limitations.
Practical constraints.
Yep, and cost is a big one. The cost of putting in and running a control needs to be reasonable compared to the risk reduction it gives you. That proportionality again.
Right, the balancing act. You also need to think about how you'll monitor these controls. Check they're working, improve them over time, and balance the investment against potential losses from incidents.
So it's a careful calculation, and the standard points us towards help here, like a catalog of controls.
Yes. ISO IEC 27002 is specifically mentioned. It's a really valuable source of best practice controls that most organizations can adapt. A great starting point.
Good to know. 27002.
And the standard also stresses thinking about security early. Build it into new systems and projects from the start.
Don't bolt it on later.
Exactly. Bolting it on is usually more expensive and less effective. Get it right from the beginning. And remember, you can pick controls from standards like 27002 or design your own if needed. Not every control fits every situation.
Tailoring it.
Right. The standard also acknowledges that implementation takes time. So you need to think about your risk tolerance during that implementation period. How much risk is okay while you're putting the fix in place?
The transition phase.
Yeah. And communicate that risk level to people who need to know. Finally, and this is important, no set of controls guarantees 100% security. Ongoing management, vigilance, they're key.
Always needed.
And the statement of applicability, the SOA, is mentioned as the place where you record which controls you've chosen and why. Crucial for showing you're serious and for compliance.
SOA.
Got it.
So selecting controls is deliberate, considers lots of factors.
That's the core insight. It's about achieving the right level of security for your context.
Okay, we've established the ISMS, implemented controls. What happens next in this continuous cycle? That must be 4.5.6, monitoring, maintaining, and improving effectiveness.
Exactly right. And ISMS isn't static, needs ongoing care. This means regularly monitoring and assessing how well your controls are actually doing against your policies and objectives.
Checking if they work.
Yep, and the results. They need to be reported up to management for review. This management review is critical. It ensures the whole ISMS, controls included, stays suitable and effective for the risks you face.
Management stays involved.
They have to. And the records you keep from monitoring, they're your evidence. They help verify and track any corrective actions, preventative steps, and improvements you make. Think of it like a regular health check for your security.
A continuous feedback loop then, constantly checking if things are working as planned, and that naturally leads to 4.5.7, continual improvement.
Precisely. The ultimate goal is to constantly make your ISMS better, stronger, providing better protection over time. The standard really pushes for a proactive mindset here.
Not just resting on your laurels.
Definitely not. Actively seek opportunities to improve. Don't just assume everything's fine as it is.
So what does this continual improvement process actually look like?
The standard lays out a pretty structured approach. First, analyze and evaluate where you are now to spot areas for improvement.
Find the gaps.
Then set clear, measurable objectives for those improvements. What do you want to achieve? Next, look for possible solutions, weigh them up, pick the best one.
Choose your fix.
Then implement it. And after implementing, you must measure, verify, analyze, and evaluate the results. Did it actually work? Did you meet your objective?
Check the results.
Right. And finally, formalize the changes you've made to the ISMS. Update documentation, processes, whatever's needed.
Make it official.
And it's iterative, remember. The results of one improvement cycle often point to the next area to tackle.
Always more to do.
Often, yes. And the standard notes that good ideas for improvement can come from lots of places: customers, other stakeholders, audits, those regular ISMS reviews we just talked about. The key takeaway is this persistent commitment to making things better, driven by analysis and feedback.
So it's this never-ending cycle of check, act, refine. Okay, let's shift gears slightly to Clause 4.6, ISMS Critical Success Factors. What are the things that really determine if an ISMS is going to work effectively?
Good question. Clause 4.6 highlights that for an ISMS to deliver real value and meet business goals, certain key things absolutely must be in place.
The make or break element.
Kind of, yeah. For instance, your security policy, your objectives, all your security activities, they need to be tightly aligned with the overall business strategy. It can't be off doing its own thing.
Integrated, not isolated.
Exactly. You need a consistent framework for managing security that actually fits your company culture. It has to feel right for how you operate.
That's the culture. Okay.
And maybe the most important one, visible support and genuine commitment from all levels of management, especially top leadership. That is absolutely crucial.
That top-down support, we hear that a lot.
Because it's true. Without that buy-in from the top, security initiatives really struggle.
Makes sense. What else is on that critical list?
A deep understanding of what needs protecting, those asset protection requirements we talked about earlier, best achieved through solid risk management. And again, 27005 is your friend there.
Understanding the why.
Yes. Also, an effective security awareness, training, and education program. Everyone needs to know their role and be motivated to act securely.
The human element.
Huge. Plus, you need effective processes for handling incidents when they happen, because they will, and for business continuity, keeping things running during disruption.
Incident response and continuity. Got it.
And finally, a measurement system. You need to track performance, see how well you're doing, and use that data to feed back into improvement.
Measure to improve.
Exactly. The big message here is that a well-implemented ISMS makes it much more likely you'll hit all these critical factors consistently. And that leads to better protection for your information. It's not just tech. It's a holistic approach: alignment, commitment, awareness, measurement.
So it really is about the whole system working together: people, processes, commitment.
Okay, right.
Let's look at Clause 4.7. Benefits of the ISMS family of standards. Why should an organization actually invest the time, effort, and money into all this? What's the payoff?
The why bother question. Clause 4.7 lays out the advantages really clearly. The primary benefit, obviously, is reducing information security risks. Fewer incidents, less severe incidents.
Less damage, less cost.
Right. But the positive impacts go way beyond just risk reduction. especially for long-term sustainable success.
Okay, like what specifically?
Well, you gain a structured framework, a way to specify, implement, operate, and maintain a comprehensive ISMS that's cost-effective and fix your organization across different parts of the business.
Solid structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It helps management consistently and responsibly handle security within the bigger picture of corporate risk and governance. It helps educate business owners, system owners about their security roles.
Gets everyone on the same page.
It does. And the standards promote globally accepted good practices, but they're not overly prescriptive. They let you tailor controls to your specific needs and adapt as things change.
That adaptability seems crucial today.
It really is. What else? The ISMS family provides a common language, a shared conceptual basis for security. This massively boosts confidence between business partners, especially if one or both are certified against ISO IHAS 27001.
Builds trust.
Absolutely. It increases stakeholder trust in general: customers, investors, regulators, trust in your ability to protect information. Plus, it helps you meet societal expectations around data privacy and security.
Keeping up with expectations.
And it leads to more effective economic management of your security investments. You spend your money more wisely. Ultimately, it's about building a more secure, resilient, and trustworthy organization.
So it's not just a cost center.
Definitely not. The core takeaway is that an ISMS isn't just an expense, it's a strategic investment. It yields significant returns, reduced risk, increased trust, better overall business performance.
So it's not just necessary. It adds real strategic value, builds stronger relationships. That's definitely a compelling case.
Absolutely. By consistently applying these principles, we've talked through understanding requirements, managing risks diligently, implementing the right controls, and always striving for improvement. Any organization can seriously strengthen its security posture.
Build a more secure future.
That's the goal.
That was a truly insightful breakdown of clauses 4.5 to 4.7 of ISO/IE SUI 7000. Really highlights the practical, ongoing nature of effective information security management. So as you reflect on our chat, maybe think about how consistently applying these principles could enhance the security of any organization you're involved with. What's one specific area we discussed today that kind of sparks the most immediate thought about potential improvements in your own context? Definitely something worth mulling over. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.